This interview is for information only and should not be considered as investment advice or a recommendation to buy shares in the company featured. Welcome to this Stock Box interview. Hello and welcome to the research talks here on Stockbox with Alan Green. Now today, Alan, you're going to be talking to us about ECR Minerals and Poolbeg. Of course, very sad news coming at the start of the week from ECR Minerals on the passing of the CEO, Craig Brown, who we both knew personally. I was personally very shocked to see that news and, of course, very saddened by it, as I'm sure you were as well, Alan.
It's been a massive shock to me, and I know I run a Telegram group for ECR with several other colleagues, and I know the outpouring of grief and absolute shock at Craig's passing has been well articulated on that on the thread on the Telegram group. But I think it's a week since his passing. We've all tried to pass messages on, and I've spoken to the chairman, David Tang, but I worked with Craig since 2017, and Craig was uncompromising, had a very clear vision about what he wanted. He'd achieved an awful lot with China and Unferrous Gold and Chryso Resources previously, and he knew where the gold was, and he had a very clear picture of how ECR as a company were going to get it out of the ground and bring it to market. But I think first of all, just on Craig's passing, I think his legacy needs to be understood. So this is in this podcast today, or this research talk today, I'm just going to go through the investment case without going into a huge amount of detail. But I'd just like to, I think on behalf of ECR Minerals, and I don't know if I can claim to do this on behalf of Craig's family, but I will say I know they've appreciated it, the efforts of investors in the marketplace to buy 51 shares, or in the case of Colin Braidwood, he increased his major shareholding from 4% to 5.06%, representing 51,515,151 shares. So that's it's a lovely thing, and if there is, it's a unique way for investors who don't know Craig and who have seen him interviewed by Proactive and myself and others to just express their thanks and appreciation of what he was doing, and also his legacy that's going to be continued by the committee that's in place now, which of course is Chairman David Tang, Trevor Davenport, and Adam Jones. And I know Adam Jones is particularly enthused by the prospects at Cresix. So I'd just like to say that. So let's look at ECR itself. So ECR, understandably, since the dreadful event of last Friday, the shares have traded pretty well flat. They've come off, and they from 1.5, 1.6p, and they're down to 1.4p, giving ECR a market cap of about 14 million. And there's an awful lot of asset and value in that 14 million. So we come to the primary assets, which are, of course, the assets in the Victoria Goldfields in Australia, which is an area renowned for gold prospecting going back to the 19th century, and many companies have achieved huge success there. Probably the most successful and high-profile one was Kirkland Lake Gold, that acquired the Fosterville mine in 2015 and literally turned it around to become one of the most profitable and low-cost mines, gold mines in Australia, if not the world. And indeed, production has continued apace. They produced 189,000 ounces of gold in Q3 2021, which is up 35% from Q3 last year, and an increase of 14% on the previous quarterly record of 166,000 ounces in Q2. So it shows no signs of slowing down. It's a gold production machine. And most importantly, the assets of not only ECR Minerals, and we're looking at, of course, New Ballarat Gold Company, which is the power metals company, and AIS Resources we've spoken about, and of course AIS Resources, the former Kirkland Lake gold geologist Dennis Walsh is now working for AIS, and these are people that have a unique understanding of the potential of the area and also the complex geology that makes up the region. First of all, on the Creswick project, Creswick is north of Ballarat, and a geological anomaly called the Dimmock's Main Shale runs through the area. And the company, as we know, have acquired. Well, firstly, they acquired the Midas drilling rig last year, and there's a second rig on the way to Australia from sourced from China, and the ECR and Craig employed a team of contractors in Creswick to really continue what's been a very aggressive drilling campaign throughout the year. And GMP contractors have nearly completed their work in Creswick now, but the drilling work was undertaken to get a real understanding of the geology. So it wasn't just straight down to a red spot, as we often hear in mining parlance. These were cross drilling, so drilling to understand where the terrain folds, where the geological folds occur, and then of course from that drill targets can be deduced and accurately identified for the later region. So then the company announced a little earlier on this year, Craig announced that they'd acquired a property, 35 Springmount Lane at Creswick, which is 16 acres within their 45 square kilometre licence area. And of course, from this area, many good gold grades have been discovered previously, and we've seen some good grades in the drilling that's been reported in the assay results from Creswick during the year. And I think the best articulation of this, there was an interview with Proactive that Adam Jones undertook live from Creswick, and Adam really explained the geology in the area well. He explained that it wasn't it was the area with the mineralogy in the area consisted of what he referred to as mineral chutes. So you'd have sections of rock, and then you'd have chutes running off here and there. And of course, you could extract a section of rock that would say be 100 meters long and a meter or so wide. Within that section, if you drilled on the chute, you could have up to 20 to 30 grams per ton. So of course, you work that out over the tonnage. That's several $1 million worth of gold. And he said, but the thing is, in order to mine this, you have to take the same approach as you would do at the Ballarat mine, which is, of course, literally just down the road. And the Ballarat mine is an underground mine. It's a narrow vein mine, and the mine was drilled and dug and opened specifically to get to these mineral chutes. So effectively, the same geology is in the area. So we then come to the question: why buy all these properties? The reason is very simple. Because of the profile of the Victoria Goldfields with the investing community, and that's institutional community, all of the local landowners are now aware that they're sitting on a gold mine, excuse the pun. And quite simply, a lot of the landowners have made it difficult for some of the companies working there to actually get to the land. So Craig took the decision following the fundraise, which I know didn't go down that well with a lot of people, but strategically now it makes complete sense. The company was fully funded with up to $5.5–6 million, £6 million in the bank. After that, to complete a number of strategic property purchases. So by purchasing the land, Craig and his team, and I say his team, of course, this is Mercator Gold in Australia. Michael Fisher, of course, is the director there, and the team on the ground with Adam Jones know very well that if they own the land, then they can within reason do what they like. And in the statement at the time, Craig explained that they could build a mine decline there and basically develop their own mine on the property. The property is currently being fenced off, and of course the work will start shortly. Both Adam and Craig were absolutely confident that they would have something similar to Ballarat, or they have something similar to Ballarat under the ground there. And I've also spoken to several other geologists who have knowledge in the area, and that they're all absolutely of the same opinion. But there are several court cases going on with landowners not wanting mining companies to drill on the land. So the reason Craig has purchased these properties, or the Craig and his team purchased the properties, is so they have that land access. They can't be stopped because they own the land. So that's the first one. We then come to Bayliston, and of course, the latest assay results from the drilling at Cherry Tree were released a couple of weeks ago. Goodness me, yeah. Of course, the results weren't particularly encouraging in terms of gold grades, but that wasn't the purpose of the campaign. The purpose was to understand the geology and the folding in the terrain underground there. And it's a different kind of terrain, so it's much more. It has much more potential as potentially an open pit mine, and of course the property that's been purchased in there at 127 Nagambie Rushworth Road is some 297 acres, nearly 300 acres, and it's adjacent to the Cherry Tree prospect. So again, you can understand the strategy and the thinking behind the team there. And of course, the drills are still turning there. They've moved on to HR3, and there will be a lot more news. So despite Craig's tragic passing, work is continuing on the ground there uninterrupted. So there are a load more results out very soon. So ECR is at a very exciting juncture, and I think from Craig's legacy, I'm super excited about the potential and what we're going to find from the assay results and the developments that the company have or will deliver to the markets in the coming months. We then come to the third property. So this is north of Bendigo in a place called Sebastian at 177 Bassett Road, 59 acres. Now this is a house. There's potential accommodation, not forgetting that the company rent a premises at Bendigo for the core shed and the logging teams. And the plan was quite simply to cut down on the expenditure that the company have to undertake every month on providing hotel accommodation for key workers, and to bring them all onto one site where they can provide accommodation for free, and also construct facilities for storage, for logging, and bring all of the operational and storage requirements that the company has onto that one site. The other thing is that it has an off-grid electricity generator, so it's solar powered, so it can basically power itself if needed, and that was the thinking behind the purchase. And when the company made the purchase, they also said that on a close inspection of the property, visible quartz was noted, which of course is indication that there is potentially gold there. So would it be fantastic if they move everything onto the site, cut the costs down hugely, and also discover gold on the premises too? But that obviously is pure speculation, but there is visible quartz there nonetheless. So that summarizes the activities to date in Victoria. We also, of course, that there are license applications in at Tambo, which is in eastern Victoria. That's where one of ECR's former geologists, Dr. Rodney Boucher, grew up, and he's very familiar with the area. And earlier this year, of course, Craig and the team applied for licenses at Lulworth Range, which is in North Queensland, and they have set up a company called Lux Exploration to deal with those licenses and any future exploration. So that's all within the ECR asset base, and that's Australia. We then come to actually just before that, of course, prior to the activities currently underway, the company also owned licensed territories in Avoca, Mournbul, and Timor, also toward the east of Victoria. Those were sold to Fosterville South, and $500,000 came into the company straight away, and there are future royalties due from there too. There's also a royalty net smelter arrangement from SLM in Argentina, some Argentinian assets the company owns, and also ECR owns 25% of the Dangley gold project in the Philippines, which has an inferred resource of 1.27 million tons of gold at 155 grams per ton, 1.55 grams per ton. So that's a tremendous amount of assets. So you've got a property, you've got just over $2 million worth of property. You've got 2 drill rigs, 3.4 million in cash, and the other assets that I've just laid out there, with all the potential underground that, of course, Adams has discussed, and the potential to develop a gold mine. And I think that's the key here. The company are now well placed to continue with the drilling work, continue with the exploration work. And as and when appropriate, they can build a mine at Creswick. They can build an open mine at the Baillieston license area, and press on from there. So at 14 million sterling market cap, you're literally just costing in the value of the properties, the value of the team, the value of the licenses, without any of the premium potential of the gold underground. And in terms of gold underground, there's Kirkland Lake Gold, and of course we all know what happened with Greatland Gold when it discovered the Haverian asset. The market cap rose from about 25-30 million up to 1.5 billion at one stage, and that's on a 4.2 million ounce resource. So ECR is very well placed, and I sincerely hope that for Craig's legacy we can get something from Creswick in the not too distant future, because that would be a fitting legacy for a great guy.
Indeed. Well, thank you very much, Alan, for just bringing us up to speed again and reiterating the whole investment case for ECR Minerals and, of course, what they have. And as you say, Craig, building a legacy there of compelling projects, as we've spoken about many times in the past. And despite the terrible news, nothing has changed with that. And hopefully the company goes on to continue the legacy that he started. So thank you very much for giving us that. And to Craig Brown, may he rest in peace.
Yeah, rest in peace, Craig. Indeed.
Okay, so the other company you are going to talk to us about is a new one called Poolbeg. So I'm looking forward to this.
Okay, so Poolbeg Pharma, the EPIC code is POLB. It's listed on AIM with a 52 million market cap. Came to market a few months ago, traded as high as 13p, as low as 8.5p, and is currently at 10.5p at present. So Poolbeg Pharma it was spun out of Open Orphan, and of course I've spoken about Open Orphan many times. The executive chairman Carl Friel and his track record of success. Of course, Carl founded Amrit Pharma in 2015. That's now worth 550 million sterling. Founded Open Orphan in 2018, and of course the Open Orphan share price has rocketed from sort of 4 to 5p up as high as 30p, currently around 20p, but it's going great guns. So Open Orphan, of course, has been very much in the focus for its work with the human challenge trials. The quarantine, the quarantine centre in East London, which is run by its wholly owned company hVivo, and it's been in the news for the developments with testing human challenge trials with COVID and all the rest of it. But the company decided that some of its key assets weren't being utilized sufficiently, so it took the view to undertake a reduction in capital and spin Poolbeg Pharma out as a separate company to tackle infectious diseases such as flu, The company describes its business model as capital light and a one-stop shop for big pharma to find phase 2 products and assets ready for development into commercialization. So what do we mean by capital light? So the IPO meant the company came to market with market cap of 52 million, as I've outlined already. What this means is they will be spending an initial 2 to 3 million sterling on developing the core asset, which is spun out of Open Orphan, and that's POLB 001. POLB 001 was successfully unearthed after studying this huge data bank that has accumulated over a decade, and it was discovered through this work as an inhibitor which had genuine potential to treat flu. And of course, flu has been one of the banes of the medical world for years, and the novel ways now in which pharmaceutical companies can approach using data and using biomarkers has revolutionized the process. So Poolbeg is at the forefront of this. We've all seen how devastating these infectious diseases can be, and of course, COVID, I think, has really brought that home. So it's believed with the data that it currently has at its disposal that POLB 001 could treat severe flu, other infectious diseases, and also potentially COVID too. And it would be administered via IV. So of course, these would be for severe cases, already in hospital, already on a drip, where it would be easy to introduce the treatment sort of directly via IV. The best known flu treatment in the market at the moment is, of course, Tamiflu. It's got sales of about 700 million. But of course, Tamiflu is only partly effective. It works for about a day, and then the effects tend to wane. But nonetheless, flu is a huge problem. It affects about 1 in 8 adults every year, and it's a huge. In itself, that market is absolutely enormous. With the sales of 700 million for Tamiflu, there's an 800 million market there that's rapidly growing. The infectious disease market is bigger still. It's estimated it's going to be worth some $250 billion by 2025. So of course, Poolbeg is developing POLB 001 and a number of other assets in order to get these assets ready by investing a couple of million to get them ready for phase 2, ready for development. Of course, that's when the serious money comes in from big pharma to fund the phase 3 trials and get the drug ready for market. So it's only just gone to market. A company announced recently that the US patent grant is on track for delivery. It's already of course, got the European patent grant. Came to market with that, and then in October, the company announced it had partnered with Eurofins Genomics to complete an RNA sequencing program for Poolbeg's respiratory syncytial virus disease treatment. That, of course, it has the samples that it's obtained from the human challenge studies. Once it's that sequencing is completed, which will be the end of this year, Poolbeg will start AI investigative work into the data to get the drug ready to take to phase two. The company then announced a couple of weeks ago that its platform Predict Viral, which estimates disease severity and contagiousness in people already infected with respiratory virus. The Predict Viral program is progressing well, and we're expecting to hear more developments from that in the coming months. Now, this is, of course, bear in mind, Poolbeg has just come to market. I've already mentioned Carl Friel, and of course the work he's done. The chief executive is a guy called Jeremy Skillington. Jeremy is a trained biochemist, has been sort of a biochemist for some 20 years. In 2016, he joined a company called Infosome Biotech, which was sold just over a year ago to Roche Pharmaceuticals for $450 million. So he's just obviously come out of that very successful sale. And saw the opportunity that Carl put in front of him, and here we are now. So both these guys are very, very comfortable and used to developing pharmaceutical, not startups, but small biotechs into saleable packages attractive to the large pharmas. And of course, that's entirely why Poolbeg's been set up. It's a capital light approach. Invest 2 to 3 million in each asset, get it ready for phase 2. Then the big pharmas will come along, spend the big money, develop it, and take it into production. So a very good business model, a unique business model that also, of course, has unique access to this huge database that Open Orphan and have built up over the years. So really, we're still at the IPO level when the company came to market. So I think there's every opportunity that for Poolbeg in the coming months, and I will be interviewing both Jeremy and Carl in the coming days, and we'll of course broadcast that out over our channels once that's completed.
Okay, well, that'd be good to look forward to. I think it's great that that Open Orphan, of course, we have spoken about them before, are actually spinning off another company specifically looking into treatments for flu. I mean, I think that's a good idea.
Well, it is, and I think if you look at the business principle, we've of course seen this with other companies, and in the resource sector, you've got companies like Power Metal that are spinning out assets, and Carl Friel, with his track record, he's and of course Jeremy too. They're very successful at these sort of this sort of financial engineering, for want of a better term. But Poolbeg's been spun out. It's a successful spin out, and of course both with Carl's involvement in it, given Carl's track record, I think it's almost a slam dunk. And if you certainly look at the share price performance of Open Orphan over the past few years, it's a multi-bagger, and Poolbeg has or is showing already every potential of going the same way.
And Open Orphan still retain a percentage of the new spin out, do they?
Open Orphan, I think that there are exclusive commercial relationships in place. The exact percentages they retain in the company, I'm not clear, but yes, of course, they will still have a holding in the company. And also, for what I like was that because I'm also a shareholder in Open Orphan, at that spin out, due to the capital reduction, the shares were spun out into Open Orphan. Of course, that means that shareholders in Open Orphan received a proportionate percentage of shares in Poolbeg, which will be coming to market at some point.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for introducing that to us today then, Alan. And I'm sure people can look out for your interviews over at Brand UK to get some more information. But thank you for sharing that with us. And I'm sure we'll be talking about them again in the future as things develop. But for this week, thank you very much, Alan, for your time.
Thank you, Mark.
If you enjoyed this interview, then give us a thumbs up, a like or a retweet. Subscribe to us on YouTube or follow us on Twitter and hit that notification bell to be the first to know when we release new content. There's loads of great content on our website too, across all our programs at stopboxmedia.com. Thank you for watching.